I woke up to the sound of wood burning. Sparks were jumping inside the fireplace, while the flames consumed each small log. Each one pulsated a bright red hue, as if it was a beating heart with charred edges. The whole room was spinning, and an immense pain was circling my head. The throbbing pain was growing, and my temples felt like someone hammered nails into them. Atop of the fire, a pot laid suspended and food was cooking inside. The smell invaded my nostrils and my stomach started to growl. It instantly made me hungry. I couldn't remember anything. Not who I was or what I did before waking up. I had no recollection of any prior events prior to this slumber. I tried to blink rapidly in hopes my senses would come back faster. I felt my head lying on something soft that was soaked with a warm liquid. I touched the back of my head, and the pain felt 1,000 times more acute. The crimson liquid stained my fingers. I played with it a bit, and then smelled it. It was blood. I instantly realized that there was an injury. It was either someone tried to crack my skull open, or I had some sort of accident and injured myself. Something started vibrating on the table. My headache instantly worsened, but at least the room wasn't spinning anymore. I looked around for a mirror and saw one on the left side wall. I wanted to remember how I looked. Seeing myself in that mirror, tired and weary, still didn't bring back any memory whatsoever. Before I could answer, it stopped ringing. I looked at the screen. 85 missed calls and 15 new messages. They were all from someone named Anna. I went back to the home screen, and I saw myself together with a woman and a little girl. We were all smiling. I looked a few years younger than the face I saw in the mirror. Were they my family? It sure seemed like it. The photo radiated with love and happiness. I called her right back. "Hello," I said, not knowing what to expect. "Oh my God, Christian. I was worried sick. I thought you were dead," she said, crying from the moment she answered the call. I noticed the wedding ring on my finger. "Who are you?" "I'm sorry, but I've been in some sort of accident and can't remember anything," I cried, panting. I assumed she may have been my wife, but still I needed to know for sure. "What happened, Chris? Are you all right?" "I am your wife, Anna. You left 3 days ago with Maria, our daughter." "Can I talk to her? Is she okay?" she told me. Yet, nothing came back. My mind was in constant darkness. The more I tried to remember, the more I sank in that endless abyss that bloomed in my brain. "Anna, I can't remember anything. It seems like I am in a very old shack. I am alone here. I don't know what's going on. I only know that I have a head injury," I told her, sighing. She started screaming and crying. Her high-pitched screams pierced my soul, and her pain was clawing at the veil that fell on it. Something changed in me. Even though I had no recollection of my previous life before this accident, I knew she was telling me the truth. Maybe it was the dad's senses that kicked in. "Anna, I will do anything to find her. Anything, please." I hadn't had a chance to finish what I was about to say. The call disconnected and the phone turned off. It was out of battery. I looked around to see if I could find anything helpful. There was an old dirty switch on the wall. I turned on the lights, and in the corner of the room was a gray backpack. It was dirty and stained with blood. Good thing this place had electricity. I thought the backpack was mine. I mean, there was too much of a coincidence. I opened it up and found a selfie stick, a thin blanket, food, and a power bank. My heart began racing when I saw the power bank. I instantly connected the phone, and it started charging. Now I needed to look for sockets. If the power bank died at some point, I needed to recharge it. I turned the mobile data off as soon as the phone came back to life. I tried calling Anna again, but to no avail. I wrote her a message, reassuring her that I'd do everything to find our daughter. Hit send for whenever the reception came back on. I heard someone coughing outside. A woman. Her footsteps were slowly approaching the shack. Or was it a cabin? The door slowly opened, and I stood watching. An old woman with ragged clothes and white hair entered the room. Her eyes were missing all color from them. She looked like she was blind or like having a very rare eye disease. Ah, young man. Now, don't be scared. I know what you're thinking. Can she see with those eyes? Well, yes, I can. I am not blind. Even if I am old, I am wise. These eyes have seen a lot of things, both good and evil, in my life. My name is Mother Media. I am a witch, she said. Her voice didn't match her age, though. Nor was it a trembling voice. She was very articulate, and she seemed very calm. A witch? Where am I? What is all this? I demanded, raising the tone of my voice. Don't yell. My hearing wasn't what it used to be, young man. I saved you after all. From the things in the woods. Yes, I did. Now, there's a nice turkey stew on the fire. I suggest you eat, and I'll tell you all about what happened. She replied in a way that made me feel like she was a good person. I can't remember anything since before I woke up. Not a single thing. I spoke with my wife on the phone. I know she is my wife, and I know we have a daughter. Deep in my heart, I know that. But I can't remember anything else, I added. She told me that she couldn't get to my daughter in time. The creatures of the woods were fast and vicious. I gasped and tears started forming in my eyes, as if I knew that something terrible happened. Mother Media gave me something to drink. She told me that the potion would help me remember everything. I drank it right away, its bitter taste making me instantly retch. I choked and started coughing. Mashed snails, thyme, chicken blood, and crushed coal, and dirt from the grave of a freshly deceased person. Drink it all up, young man, she said, while giving me a bowl of turkey stew. I instantly froze. Fear climbed up my spine, one vertebrae at a time. Then, in a flash of a second, I remembered everything. We went on a hike, then a storm came, and we looked for shelter. Maria and I. We ventured deeper into the woods until we got lost. Suddenly, we were surrounded by evil creatures made out of a deep, dense smoke. They surrounded us and just started laughing. One of them took a rock and threw it at me. It hit me right in the back of the head, exactly where I had the injury. Before falling to black, I remember my daughter crying while those beasts took her away and into the darkened woods. Then I remembered coming back to it for a few seconds, and I felt like someone was dragging me. Mother Media, thank you for everything, Mother. But I need to go back there and look for my daughter. Those ravenous beasts have her, I told her. Eat your stew first, Christian. Your daughter is safe. At least for now. I will help you bring her back. Let me quickly tell you about this place first. The village of Amara, she said. I wanted to ask her how she knew my name, but didn't. She took me outside, and I saw that her shack was the only one in the vicinity. She pointed over a small hill in front of us and told me that the village was there. I walked with her. She continued on saying that an ancient curse befell that village. A creature so powerful was to blame for this. A creature that lived in the crooked castle. It was still young, probably the youngest of the bloodline, and once it awakened, all hell would break loose. I saw the village was empty. Dead animals were laying around and people hid under their houses. They were hoping the curse would not affect them, so the decision was made for them to move underground. A curse had already struck them. The one of fear that sent them to live in a darkness only briefly illuminated by dim candlelights. Mother Media told me that the woods were corrupted the moment that creature came to life. Even if it was still dormant, it had powers never before seen or heard of. A woman's hand grabbed my ankle from somewhere under one of the houses. Please, sir, you have to help us. We can't live like this. We are but slaves to this present darkness. It looms over our village, and it infiltrates our souls, rooting and nesting inside. The curse, the pestilence, will devour us whole with its ravenous sharp teeth, she cried. I jumped, and she retreated her hand back to the darkness below. The sight of this village was sickening to look at. The houses looked like tombs. The retching smell was floating in the air. It looked like an omen of death approaching fast. This settlement and these people were on the edge of a precipice. We can't help them right now. But you can if you embark on a journey across the Wailing Woods "And to the Crooked Castle," she said, taking my hand. I went back with her to the shack. I asked her what those places were and why they were called that. She told me that the woods bear that name because of the creatures that inhabit them. What I saw and experienced, those very beasts that kidnapped my daughter, were but a tiny part of what truly lives inside. The most dangerous creatures were called the Grievers. They were the lost souls of those who died violent deaths, and they were trapped forever in the woods. If one encounters them, one should give them a gift for safe passing. If not, they would cry until one would go insane. It was almost impossible not to meet them. They always sensed new blood and flesh in those woods. The Crooked Castle. Ah, that is a dangerous place. Very dangerous indeed. You have to be careful when you reach it. If he awakens, you'll have to fight him to the death, Mother Medea told me. My daughter was taken there, wasn't she? I said, my heart racing. Yes, she was. You have to get her out before he awakens. Emil will be hungry for blood, enraged with madness and hunger. You'd stand no match against him in your current state. Luckily, I will help you. I will enhance you, she said, grinning wide. She said that what she'd do would not necessarily make me victorious in this fight. She certainly hoped so, though. I entered the shack, and she went straight to the bed I'd slept in. From under it, she pulled a long and thin metal box of sorts. Silver in color, it looked very old. A thick layer of dust had settled on it. She cleaned it with a wet rag and dragged it on the floor. Well, help an old woman out, will you? She said. I took the metal box and placed it on the table. It was quite heavy. I heard a very low rumbling coming from inside. I opened it and I froze. A large crimson sword stood in front of me. It was enveloped by a red pulsing hue like an electric current. The sword looked majestic. The crimson paint on it slowly started moving. It looked like it came to life the moment I opened the box. Quite beautiful, isn't she? Furia is her name. It was my husband's most prized weapon. Now his spirit is inside. I put it there after he died 250 years ago, after being critically injured in battle. He fought Emil's father and killed him, she said. My whole heart sank. What? How old are you, Mother? I asked, a large lump forming in my throat. I can't even remember, my dear boy. Centuries have passed since I was your age, she answered, smiling bitterly. She forcefully took my hand and slapped it on the crimson sword. Shock and horror befell my heart. I felt like something was creeping inside me. It used my soul as a bridge. At least that's how it seemed. My whole arm was enveloped in the same red light as the sword. I became one with it. A bond, a symbiosis was formed between me and Furia. Hello, young man. Sorry for the intrusion. Name's Victor. Feels very strange being in a body other than my own. I too have slept centuries. Just like our archenemy is right now, the voice inside me said. I screamed in fear. This wasn't right. Every inch of this new me felt wrong. Two spirits were living inside one body now. My vision looked like it had flames in it. Everything looked clearer than before. The mighty sword Furia poured all its might inside me. My God, Victor, how much I've missed you. Even if you're here just in spirit, it feels great, she said, tears forming in her eyes. I heard myself speaking, but without my will. My voice was different. I missed you too, Medea. You look as beautiful as last time I saw you, Victor said, and I felt like my spirit was pushed back to the back of my mind. It felt horrible having another spirit inside me. Fear punctured my soul. But flashbacks of when those creatures attacked me and took my daughter came to mind. If anything could help me find Maria again, this was it. Medea, Victor, and this mighty sword. Night was approaching with fast steps and time was of the essence. It's always been best to travel at night. I stood before the Wailing Woods. It sent chills down my spine just by looking at it. Somewhere in the distance, I heard people crying. Mother Medea wished me luck and told me I could meet many creatures in the woods. It was up to me to decide which ones were good and which were evil. She wished us luck. I carried Victor inside and Furia in my arms. My eyes were two bright red flames, and my arms were fueled by the sword's power. My heart was in my throat, and fear was at an all-time high in my mind. Nevertheless, I entered the blackness of the Wailing Woods. Soon after entering the Wailing Woods, I felt like being in another world. I stepped on something, and it cracked under the weight of my boot. Looking down, I saw human bones scattered around. I winced when thinking what beast could have done that. The trees stood tall. Dead bats decorated some branches. The woods were very much alive in the silence of the night. I felt like being watched. I thought that maybe an unknown predator stood behind the darkness, watching and waiting. I feared not for my life. My will to live was the driving force to save my daughter from that monstrous thing that lived in the castle. I had Furia in my hand, and the spirit of Victor inside me. We both coexisted, and even if I was scared, I wanted to get my daughter back safe and sound from the crooked castle. I like your courage and determination, young man. These are qualities of a strong man, Victor said inside my head. I thanked him and kept on walking. The dread was building up inside me very fast. One moment ago, I was just a normal person taking a hike with his daughter, and the next I had to fight creatures of darkness. I saw a black snake slithering by. Somewhere in the distance, crows cawed. An owl was hooting on a branch in front of me. All these sounds added to the fear that I was being watched. Soon, I heard a carriage approaching and horses neighing. From the shadows, I saw a very old man with a long white beard emerging. He held a staff in his hand, and he was dressed in a dark brown robe with strange symbols on it. "Hello there, young man. I heard you entering the woods earlier, and thought to myself that maybe my services were to be of use to you, and to the other spirit inside you. Who are you?" I asked him, taking a step back. "My name is Attila. Attila, the blind merchant, they call me. I sell nice things to people like you. People who are in dire straits, who are on a vital mission. I can also trade if I see something interesting that you may offer," he replied. "Attila, still around these parts, eh? It's been a long time since we talked," Victor said. The old man froze. He stood like a statue, his lips trembling. All color drained from his face, a ghastly appearance fixating me. "Oh, I thought you were long gone, Victor," he said, whimpering. Attila thanked him. Victor saved him from a nasty beast when he was still alive. He owned him one, he said. Victor said that he did what every man would have done. To save someone's life was in his blood. "Say, Attila, this young man here needs to save his daughter. I will help him do that. You can help him too. Do you still have the thing?" Victor said again. "Oh, it's been so long since it's been used. You want to kill the offspring, right?" Attila asked. He went back to his carriage. When he returned, he showed me a very old pistol. He handed it to me and said that it was holy. It could kill every single one in the bloodline. The Lazar bloodline is very strong, scattered all around the world like rats. They need to be destroyed. They were born here before time even began, young man. Emil is the last one of them here. If you two manage to kill him and destroy the castle, the curse will be gone forever. These lands will be free once more," he added. When he handed me 2 boxes of silver bullets, I finally understood what I was up against. The creature that kidnapped my daughter was a vampire. A ruthless, cold-blooded one too. Crucifixes didn't work against Emil. Garlic was just a stupid legend. Silver bullets couldn't kill him per se, but they could cause him a lot of pain and distress, maiming him. Victor then intervened and said that Emil needed to be shot a few times in the chest to be slowed down. Then I had to rip out his heart and decapitate him. "Young man, you can have the gun and the bullets for free, and choose whatever trinkets you like from my carriage to give them to the grievers. I have just one thing to ask you. Emil has a pet, a parrot. He is really special. Before you leave his castle, can you take him and bring him to me? He was mine many moons ago, and he is very dear to me. Please," he said, squeezing my wrist tightly. I nodded. I took some bracelets, coins, spoons, and forks and put them in my pouch. Attila then wished us the very best of luck and continued his trip. He started singing songs of war, songs where victorious men killed horrible beasts. We said our goodbyes, and I could see in his eyes that he wanted Emil dead and gone. I soon thought to myself that the real hero, Victor, was the one who could stop this curse. Daddy, Daddy, please help me. I heard Maria's voice calling for me. I instantly ran in the direction it was coming from, not caring for anything else in the world. Victor told me to stop, that it was not her. The woods were playing with my mind, he added. Soon I came into an opening. There I saw an abomination grinning. It had the head of a dog, 4 eyes, and 2 mouths with the body of a man. He was just finishing his meal, and I saw a dismembered man lying on the ground. The creature's eyes glowed a bright red hue that penetrated the darkness of the night. An ogre. These things are hungry for blood, Christian. We need to kill it fast. It's very powerful. It has the strength of 1,000 men, he said. I jumped with fright. For a second, I thought this might be the end. Fear was cascading inside my soul. Maria's face came to mind, and I knew I had to kill the beast if I wanted to ever have a chance of seeing her again. The ogre started charging towards me. Its mouths open and tongues were flapping. It let out a double scream that reverberated throughout the woods. Before getting to me, I moved to the side. It still scratched my shoulder. It was a close call, but I managed to stray from its path of destruction. You think you are a match for the mighty Igor? The ogre of all ogres, the most powerful of them all. Your death will be quick, and you will make a good meal, petty human. Prepare to meet your doom, he said, both of his voices overlapping. It growled and began rampaging again. I slipped on the wet mud and fell on my back. With one hand, it grabbed me by the throat, and with the other, it started punching me in the face. 1 punch, 2 punches, 3. I could feel my life slowly draining away. My head was being pushed in the dirt from the repeated blows. The sword was somewhere to my left, and I knew there and then that if I didn't get up, I'd die. I kicked the ogre with a knee in its belly, and then I poked his eyes. Victor made me strong too, very strong. It screamed its heart out. The agonizing shrieks made it even more enraged. I got up and took the sword in my hand. I felt Victor taking over fully. The sword began pulsing, and with one swing, I cut the ogre's left arm. Blood sprayed from the freshly made cut, and it stained my face. Before giving it time to think about its next move, I severed the other one. My heart was bursting out of my chest when I saw the beast wincing and howling. I wanted to take a final swing and take its head off, but I saw an arrow flying in the night in its direction. The arrow's tip was burning. Soon another one followed, and another one. A total of 7 burning arrows struck the ogre in the head. They all exploded at the same time, and blood and guts started flying all over the place. A piece of its heart landed on my butt, and I instantly shook it away with disgust. A woman appeared from behind the trees. A scarf covered her mouth, and her bright blue eyes were piercing. I heard you were passing through. The good creatures of the forest started talking about you. The brave one who would save his daughter from the claws of the fanged beast. My name is Arya. I want to be there when you kill Emil, she said, extending her hand to me. She had very abnormally long fingers. When I looked back at her, her eyes changed color. They were green now. She told me that the Lazar bloodline killed her family a long time ago, and she wanted to see this land free of them. I turned into a mercenary. I hunt beasts like that filthy ogre for people with a lot of money. The market for this kind of stuff is very good. Too bad this guy exploded all over the place. He would have made me good money. I wanted to make a good first impression though, she added. I know her. She is a good person. Her parents were murdered by Emil's father, Nikolai. He ripped their throats right in front of her. She's been on the hunt ever since, Victor said internally. I'm going to take his damned head. This one I will never sell. I will put it on my wall. I want him to face something black. so he would be lost in darkness forever, she said, spitting on the ground in anger. I went back on the trail that led to the crooked castle, and Arya followed. She said that we mustn't hurt the grievers when we'd meet them. That's bad luck. One of her colleagues did so, and he hasn't been ever since. I didn't dare ask for more. I handed her some coins, while I took some healing potion from my pouch. Mother Medea gave it to me before I entered the woods. It contained sorrel, tears of a dragon, ashes of a freshly burnt strigoi, and a few spices. I drank half of it, and in a matter of seconds, all my wounds disappeared. The opening that marked the end of the woods was just a few yards in front of me. I thought that my encounter with the grievers wouldn't happen. I was mistaken. People collectively started crying behind me. I couldn't move. I thought that I never heard anything more painful than that in my life. I felt hands touching my back, the crying growing louder and more acute. I took some coins and placed them on my heels. I didn't want to turn and see how the grievers looked, not even for 1 second. Still, their cries didn't stop. I thought they wanted more. I placed some spoons and forks on the ground, and I felt one of their hands touching the back of my neck. It was as if a gust of wind slowly passed through. "Oh, you are on a mission of rescue," one of them hissed. Yes, I am. And I will do everything in my power to save my daughter," I replied. "Then all these metal gifts will not be enough. We will need something else when you return. We want his heart. Take it out of his chest and bring it to us. Some of us died because of his kind. We are doomed forever to walk this earth like this." One of the grievers spoke with an old woman's voice. I nodded. Their cries died down and I was safe again. I exhaled, thinking this was a close call. When I heard that the metal gifts won't be enough, I thought they maybe wanted my soul, my life, or my blood. Of course, I would have refused that. I didn't want to think about it anymore. We got out of the Wailing Woods, and as we were walking, I saw the ruins of a castle in the distance. Standing on a cliff, surrounded by big metal fences, it breathed evil. Winged creatures were circling it, their shrieks violating the silence of the night. The enemy was inside that castle sleeping. Or was he sleeping? What if he was already awake, waiting for us? What if when I sensed I was being watched in the woods, it was by his servants? I was approaching the crooked castle. I would save my daughter no matter what. I had the sword and Victor with me, and I had a new ally, Arya. Together, we would defeat Emil, the crooked vampire. The most important thing I had was hope, though. Hope keeps a man alive. Maria was all I could think of, and I wanted to get to the castle as soon as I could. It felt good getting out of the Wailing Woods. The ogre was powerful, but yet it couldn't match two kindred spirits. Victor wanted revenge on the Lazar bloodline, and I wanted to get my daughter from the claws of the vampire. Arya helped us defeat Igor the ogre, and so a powerful trio was formed. She was an interesting character right from the get-go. I had questions and concerns about what she was doing as a job, about the dangers that lured in the world. My family and I were always regular people, and before the trip, I never asked myself questions about the supernatural. The scenery turned to tall cliffs, and we were getting closer to the castle. It stank of death and evil. The crooked castle was the grave of entire generations of vampires from the Lazar bloodline. For far too long, they had terrorized the lands of Transylvania. For far too long, the simple and good people here had suffered because of them. This was to end very soon. I wanted to recap what I had to bring back from the castle. Attila, the blind merchant, wanted his parrot back. The grievers wanted Emil's heart. Arya wanted his head to make a hunting trophy out of it. Victor wanted him dead altogether. I wanted my daughter back safe and sound, unharmed. I saw the decaying and decrepit castle. Its walls screamed misery and pain. Its window panes creaked and howled with sorrow and suffering. A crimson fog enveloped that necropolis of horrors, as if to conceal its existence from the world. Atop of each of its 4 spires stood a stone gargoyle. Their mouths were open, large stone fangs showing. They looked like they had been turned to stone by some sort of existential dread that stood before them. A creaking and very tall metallic fence was surrounding the premises. It was rusty and eaten out by the passage of time. It felt surreal being in that place. It was probably the night I feared the most in my life. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring. Would I open my eyes back home with my wife and daughter and live a happy life? Or would I be forever roaming the earth as an undead creature, like a wise man once said? What a horrible night to have a curse. The starlit sky bore witness to our mission. The moon itself looked like it held its breath until this was all over. I heard multiple howls in the sky. Looking up at the spire, the gargoyles came to life. Their screams of spite and hatred fueled their eyes with a bright red hue that instilled a horrible feeling inside me. They were all flying towards us. Arya shot a few arrows at them at an immense speed, and with precision killed two. The arrows blew up exactly like how they did with the ogre. The remaining two landed in front of us. Growling, they charged at us with all their might. With a swing of the blade, I decapitated one of them. Ducking the other with a pirouette, I then pierced him in the back, the edge of the sword coming out through its heart. I needed a moment to get a hold of myself. These supernatural things that I have experienced were happening too fast. I didn't even have time to think. Luckily, Victor was controlling everything when we battled them, so I felt safe knowing that. Victor knew the place very well. I got in through one of the side windows and Arya jumped in after. Human skulls were used as candle holders. Their remains illuminated the whole ground floor of the crooked castle. Skeletons were chained to the walls. Paintings of the Lazar bloodline vampires were hanging on the walls. Each of them looked down arrogantly, so as if to let us know that they would always be superior to us humans. I heard someone talking. The hero has come. He is the one. He will take me away to a brighter day. The beast is asleep, the slumber so deep. Take off his head, and he will be dead, it said. The last thing I expected to hear in that castle was this sort of childish poetry. I carefully followed the voice to one of the adjacent rooms. There I saw a parrot, colored red and black, staying inside a cage. So you're the one Attila wants back. Smart bird. Gorgeous too, I said. Your daughter is being kept in the next room, Christian. She is fine. The beasts who took her here are out of the castle to feed. The vampire is sleeping upstairs in the master bedroom. The sun will be out in no time, the parrot said, changing its tone to a graver one. I took it on my shoulder and moved on to the next room. Maria was there, looking out the window. She jumped in my arms when she saw me. Daddy, take me out of this place. It's ugly here and it smells really bad, she told me, crying. Oh, honey, I missed you so much. Are you okay? Did they hurt you? I asked. She told me that the beasts who took her needed young blood for their master. The Lazar bloodline needed the blood of a child each time they came alive, so to speak. That will not happen. Before we go, Daddy and his friends need to do one more thing, I told her. I told her to hide under the bed for a few more minutes. I instructed the parrot to stay with her so that she would be less scared. I went to the master bedroom with Arya. This is it, chap. We are not to fail. We are killing the damned beast now, and we are freeing the village from that dreadful curse. Victor screamed in my mind, instantly giving me a mild migraine. I slowly opened the door and saw a very white, thin man with black hair lying in an open coffin. We carefully went next to it. I watched him, and he seemed normal at first. Die, you filthy mortals, he said, as he opened his eyes. He caught me off guard, grabbed me by the throat, and threw me into the far wall. I felt all air leaving my lungs and groaned with pain. Emil rose mid-air. His dark crimson eyes were like two death lights. He hissed, showing his fangs. He was ravenous, evil, diabolical. I remember I had the pistol Attila gave me. Arya tried shooting an arrow, but missed. Emil slapped her, knocking her cold right away. I opened fire. I hit him in the shoulder once and once in the stomach. He screamed and kneeled. I shot him again right where his heart was. A swarm of bats entered the room and attacked me. Then they all formed a shield around Emil. I swung the blade and cracked it open. Emil was crying tears of blood. Tears and blood and blood and tears. I shoot him again, and he screamed, "You disgusting beast, I will end you." Victor screamed from deep within. Arya came back to it and shot an arrow in his back. Emil knew this was the end for him. We all did. He was absolutely powerful, but without having drunk the blood of the innocent, he wasn't at his strongest. I rose the sword high in the air, and with a final fatal blow, I took his head off. His body fell forward and his blood stained the floors. Arya took out a knife and started carving inside his chest, removing his heart. His filthy, ugly, dark heart. I spat at his remains in anger and disgust. We took torches from the walls and lit everything on fire. The fire spread quickly, and I grabbed my daughter and got out of that evil place. The crooked castle was crumbling. Flames engulfed it. It was the beginning of the end. I had everything I needed. The parrot and the heart. Arya had the head of the vampire. Victor had managed to kill the beast, thus putting an end to the curse that infected the village. Most importantly, I had my daughter back safe with me. We returned to the Wailing Woods. I saw Attila waiting for us. He started crying tears of joy when he was us. "You did it. You bloody did it. Ha ha, oh my God. You didn't forget about my Nazdravan. It's been so long since I saw you, buddy," he said, petting the parrot. I gave him the gun back and thanked him for it. Without it, I couldn't probably stop Emil, and I'd be dead. He hugged every one of us, and he gave Maria a very old golden coin. He told her to take care of it because it was a magical coin, and she will need it someday. Then I heard the grievers. I took the heart out and threw it in the shadows. Thank you. This heart still has something in it, his crooked soul. We will torment it for eternity, just like his bloodline did with us. A man hissed from behind a tree. Mother Medea waited for us back at the shack. Maria went to sleep, and I gave her the sword back. I felt Victor leaving me, and now he was just a ball of blue light in front of me. "So long, my love. We will see each other very soon on the other side," Medea told him. "I'll miss you until then," he concluded. Mother Medea set him free and sighed. She then put our food, and we all ate like we hadn't eaten in a very long time. Arya left before sunrise. Next morning, Mother Medea took me and Maria back to the track that led to our home. My wife, Anna, bursted into tears when she saw us. We hugged each other and started crying and got back inside the house. "Where have you been?" I was worried sick. "What happened?" she asked. "You wouldn't believe it, Mama," Maria said. "I think that as long as we stand true to ourselves and not let the darkness take over, good will always win over evil. Even if we lose ourselves for a moment, we will find our way back to the light. If we believe in the good this world has to offer and live every day to the fullest, we will thrive. Good will always win."